The Menendez brothers were sentenced to life with parole on Tuesday, paving the way for their possible release. The pair have spent 3 decades in a California jail for killing their parents with shotguns at their Beverly Hills home in 1989. They were originally sentenced to 2 consecutive life terms without parole. At trial, the brothers admitted to committing the killings but insisted they did so out of fear that their parents were about to kill them following years of sexual abuse by their father. Because they were youthful offenders then and have already served half of Tuesday's new 50-year sentences, they're immediately eligible for parole under state law. Now 57 and 54, Lyle and Erik listened in via video link from prison, where they'll remain for the time being. The brothers' attorney, Mark Garagos, spoke outside the court.
I just know that on a day like today, that redemption is possible. The fact is, the Menendez brothers have done remarkable work, and today is a great day after 35 years. And I'm hopeful and glad that we're one huge step closer to bringing the boys home.
It's the latest turn in a case that captivated the U.S. in the 1990s because of the brothers' wealth and privilege as sons of a record company and entertainment industry executive. It's been back in the spotlight after a Netflix series raised new evidence to support their claims they were sexually abused by their parents. Last fall, former District Attorney George Gascon cited that evidence to petition for resentencing the brothers to a lesser crime and releasing them. His successor, DA Nathan Hochman, disagreed after taking office, saying the brothers have yet to fully acknowledge and accept responsibility for the killings. Under California law, a state parole board must now weigh in on the case, consider whether they deserve to be released, and make a recommendation to California Governor Gavin Newsom.
A poll taken this morning shows that the jury believes there is no reasonable probability of our reaching a verdict or verdicts without violence to our individual judgments. And therefore, the court finds that the jury is hopelessly deadlocked and declares a mistrial.
In self-defense, is that correct?
Say that again. Okay. When I went outside to reload, I was confused and just afraid. And I wasn't thinking that these were even my parents. I was just thinking that danger and just going through the motions of reacting to what was happening.
Do you remember also in that interview?
Yes, we were talking about how Dad's ideas for what he wanted for us were now beginning to change and cut off, and how Mom had really changed a lot. We were talking about a lot of different things.
Today is a historic day for the Menendez brothers. Judge Michael Jesic ruled that they will be resentenced to 50 years to life. And that means that they're immediately eligible for parole, because under California law, because they were youthful offenders at the time of the murders, under 26 years old, they're eligible for parole after serving half of their sentence, or 25 years. They've served 35 years, so they're immediately eligible. This means that the Menendez brothers are immediately eligible for parole. So as soon as they can get a hearing before the parole board, they may be released. The parole board makes a recommendation, and the California governor, Gavin Newsom, can accept or reject that recommendation. But it does seem like the governor is willing to release the Menendez brothers because he ordered a comprehensive risk assessment before the brothers were even eligible. That makes it likely that he's not going to stand in the parole board's way, and the brothers will be released in a matter of months. The brothers' conduct in prison was an important factor in resentencing. We had prison guards and inmates who came and testified about that. One of the guards said that this is the first time he had ever recommended clemency or resentencing for any inmate he was responsible for. And we had an inmate who came and said that the brothers helped him escape gang life. So that's certainly something the judge in this case considered when deciding to resentence the Menendez brothers to the possibility of parole. The young age of Lyle and Erik Menendez at the time they committed these murders is a factor in the case, and an important one. First, that's something the judge should consider at the time of resentencing, the youth of the offender. But also under California law, they're eligible for parole after serving only half of their sentence. So even though the judge sentenced them to 50 years because they were young at the time of the murders, they're immediately eligible for parole because they've served more than 25 years. I think it's very likely that the Menendez brothers will be released. I think the parole board will find that they do not pose an unreasonable risk to the public. You have prison guards, you have inmates that support their release, but more importantly, every living family member of Kitty and Jose Menendez supported their release. That's something that's really unheard of when you have the victim's family universally asking a judge or a parole board to release a prisoner, and that's what we have here.
Still believe that they should be out.
We can see Erik and Lyle Menendez free as early as this summer or fall, depending on when they can get that parole board hearing. They'll certainly be out before the holidays.
The second count, we're dealing with Kitty Menendez, a separate.
When it comes to these cases, it's not just what happens inside the courtroom, but outside the courtroom. And media and public relations can play a key role. We've seen it time and time again, where a documentary can change a legal case. Britney Spears, R. Kelly, Robert Durst, the Abercrombie and Finch CEO, time and time again, the power of a Netflix series can change a legal case, and that's what we've seen here.